But coming back to Hanover, on our return trip, we were terribly green, you see, and on our return trip, we saw some shell bursts up ahead, and Doug said to me, I wonder what they are. And in fact, although we didn't realise it, we were heading towards Emden, and these were naval gunners sort of just warming up their guns, and the next moment we had shells bursting all round us. And that was quite terrifying because, again, you see, we were a new crew. We'd never experienced anything like this in our lives before. So I put it into a panic power dive, and I don't think we came out till we were 25,000 feet, and I don't think we came out till about 10,000 feet, and we were going like a bat out of hell. And so we continued on our way, and I think it was the first time that Doug ever let me down on navigation by taking me across Emden. But there we are, I forgave him. Perhaps it was my fault as much as his.
But you two did a lot of missions together, didn't you?
We did the whole 50 missions together.
And how many of those went over Berlin, which was...
Including 13 of them over Berlin.
So what was your most worrying time? What was your scariest time?
Well, you mentioned the fifth occasion, and that probably was the scariest time, because again, through inexperience, I allowed myself to be bracketed by anti-aircraft fire. Anti-aircraft fire had to be predicted because the guns on the ground and the shells took a little while to reach up where you were. And so they had to guess where you would be. And unless you were on your bombing run, you made sure you weren't there. You were somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid I didn't take the necessary precautions. And the next thing that happened was a colossal bang under the aircraft, and it lifted it right up, and it interfered with the carburation. I didn't realise this at the time. I just knew that we'd lost power, and the propellers were sort of windmilling around without power. And Doug, my pilot, said to me, and I thought it was rather a silly question, he said, what do we do now? And I said, well, we wait, don't we? Because that's after all we could do. So I put it into a glide and we waited. And what seemed like an interminable time, hallelujah, the power came on, the engines started up, and I angled the aircraft away from Berlin. And at this point, I leaned across to Doug, my very tough ex-lumberjack navigator, and I said to him, you weren't frightened, were you, Doug? And he said, no, I wasn't frightened, I was bloody terrified. And that's pretty well summed it up. In the morning, we went down and inspected the aircraft, and the whole of the back of the aircraft was like a colander, and the inboard camera had been knocked out of its housing, and it was rather a terrible sight. And my fitter came up to me and he said, sir, perhaps you would like to have a memento of this particular raid. And I said, what do you mean? And he handed me 2 long slivers of shrapnel. And I said, where did you find them? And he said, they were in this parachute that you were sitting on, which made me a bit thoughtful. So the answer is that was the most memorable raid when I was shot up